Hey, everybody. It's
Hey, good
Opposite.
afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Yeah, it's Thursday
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah, it
And
is.
every Thursday afternoon, we're right here with Opposite Saxes.
Yep.
And we're glad to be here again with you, as we always are every Thursday. And we are brought to you in part by our good friend, Christine Dean, who is a marketing guru. That's what I've given her that title. She is the networking diva, but I think she's a guru because she makes things happen, and she makes things happen wherever you are. You don't have to be in our area. She will service anybody anywhere. So if you have a website that you think maybe needs a little kick in the butt to make it a little more attractive to your viewers, give Christine a call. Go to her website, dfwnetworkingdiva.com. And there's a little space on there that says schedule a consultation. It's free. You can talk to Christine and say, hey, what do you think of my website? Is it okay? Or do you have some suggestions? And she'll share those suggestions with you. She's really good about that. And she's a really nice person too.
She
A very nice person.
she is.
And the beginning of our show, our intro or outro and all, she did that, which shows that we even took what we thought was pretty good and made it a little better.
Yeah, she's terrific. I admire her. Wish I
She's
could do what she did.
Yeah, and she does it
She
so
makes it look,
easily.
yeah, you're right.
I sit there and I'm in awe. I can't believe what she's doing because I say,
Well,
do you think maybe we could do this? She said, well, let's see. And she gets right on her
yeah,
computer.
we would still be back there from
She
a couple
makes
of
it.
years ago.
I would be talking to you on radio.
Forget that.
But we thought we would talk a little bit today about volunteering.
Something near and dear to our hearts.
Well, it's something that kind of goes hand in hand with being retired. I think when a lot of people, I think when
Yeah, but we started our volunteering at a young age.
Well, we did. In all those years that we were in business, we continued to volunteer
Yeah.
with organizations, assisting them through our business or outside of our business dealings. And volunteering has always been something that's important to us. And I think it probably should be more important to more people because I honestly, wouldn't you say that you get more out of volunteering than you put into it?
Oh, absolutely.
When you
Absolutely.
volunteer for anything, whether it's feeding the hungry or helping to
Right.
raise
Makes you-
funds, or there's an event that a nonprofit is putting on, and you go and you volunteer for a few hours to help out.
Makes you
You
feel
walk
good.
away feeling
Pretty darn good.
Yep, yeah, it really does. But when you retire, you now have actually a little more time. Some people take that to an extreme and they get wrapped up in volunteering.
Mhm.
But the beauty of volunteering is with most nonprofit organizations, you can do as little or as much as you want. I mean, some people will actually go to work for nonprofits, either a
They
paid
will.
position or a non-paid position, just because they enjoy doing it.
I have to say, going back to when we were bringing up the kids, and I probably did more volunteering than you did
You
at
did,
the
yeah.
time because you were busy with the stores. But I did quite a bit of volunteering, and I would say that the people that I met in those days, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
are still my closest friends now. So not only did I make friends and long-lasting relationships, but we helped the nonprofit at that time, and we grew them. I mean, I was in quite a few.
Well, there was
Quite
a
a few
children's
nonprofits.
organization back in Chicago that you were really kind of on the ground floor of.
Well, yes, I started the suburban chapter. There was a city, Chicago City chapter, and I started the suburban chapter.
Yeah.
And
those
yeah,
are some of those
those
same
were the
ladies
days.
that you
Absolutely.
speak to.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, that to me is the very, very much the positive aspect of volunteering, is that you meet other volunteers and they do become your friends. And when there is an event, you want to go to that event because you want to be there with your friends.
Yeah, and you want to go to the event because that is usually the culmination of all the hard work that you've put into volunteering, shall we say. But it's easier now and it's harder because there's so much that you want to do, and sometimes you take on, like you said, you take on too much. And there are other times that you say, oh, but I was supposed to do this and I was supposed to do that, and I had a doctor's appointment, or I was supposed to take a trip, or And it doesn't seem
Well,
to be like enough time for everything.
that happens when you're retired.
Yes.
I mean, when you are still working 40 hours a week, then you can only fit so much volunteering into so many of those free hours. But when you either semi-retire or retire, everybody's reaching out for you to help them. Everybody
And
wants your help.
it's very tough to say no. I got to tell you.
I think the first, you have to sit down, you have to kind of say, what are my interests?
True.
Where do I want to volunteer? Do I want to volunteer with shelters? Do I want to work with the homeless? Do I want to work with civic organizations? Do I want to work with veteran organizations? You have to kind of determine what you want, because there's literally thousands of nonprofits out there.
Well, and what do you want to do with that nonprofit, that organization? Do you want to work in administration? Do you want to work in the office? Do you want to work on fundraising? Want to work on getting new members? It's all over. It's all across the board.
You know what the hardest area is? And most nonprofit organizations, what they need is people on the phone.
You're right.
Calling and trying to sell their programs. And it's tough, because
actually any part of it is tough, I think, is to recruit those people, because in this day and age, you've got a lot more going on. And a lot of times both parents have to work. And so they're not available to help with volunteering. And sometimes when you get to our age, you get to the point where people say, you know what, I did it when I was younger, and either I don't have time now, I'm traveling, I'm doing other things, or it's just about me now. And it's not about the other guy or the volunteering or helping other people.
Now, to a certain degree, it can go a little overboard. And this is from our own personal experience. Not a day goes by that we don't go to the mailbox and there are envelopes soliciting donations for every organization under the sun. It's unfortunate sometimes when you give to one, somehow your name and address gets into somebody else's hands. But I mean, from a lot of the health organizations, Alzheimer's, the American Cancer Society, Red Cross, MS, all the ongoing. And we do support an awful lot of those organizations, but I have a tendency around January and February, I make a yearly donation to those organizations.
Right.
They certainly are not going to stop trying. And there are some that we get probably every other week. We get another solicitation for another donation. That can be a turnoff sometimes. And sometimes you say, I'm not giving to them anymore. They just don't leave me alone. And there's others that really have a need. I find that some of the veterans organizations, I will give in January and February. And then I find that around the holidays, you'll get that letter saying the USO or something. Could you please consider making another small donation to help our troops through the holidays?
It's very difficult to do it all. You can't do it all. There's just
as a giver,
way,
you have to determine how much can I really give,
right? And what is near and dear to my heart. It's tough. Now, on the other side of the coin, sometimes the volunteering is not necessarily for a medical or for a veteran organization, but sometimes work related. Our daughter has been very active in a women's organization that
women mentoring women.
Yes. And so that's a little different than your normal.
Right. That's more the support group type thing. And there's a very much a need for that. Again, for those of us that have done our paid our dues through our businesses and everything, very often we were in business for 40 years. For us to reach out maybe and work with an organization that is looking for retired business people to come in and talk to younger people interested in going into business, that's a very, very good avenue, because those are, inquiring minds out there that, you don't have to hire a professional necessarily to come in to talk to people and share ideas. You can do it through chambers of commerce and the Rotary clubs and meetup groups, which I'm a member of several. You are also, and we like to interact with other people. And that in essence is a form of volunteering.
Look at the volunteering that your parents did when they were retired. They went into the public schools.
Yeah, they went into public
And
schools
helped
and
the
were
kids with reading,
mentors.
writing. Yeah.
Mhm. And that's
another area.
It's the opportunities are limitless.
It's overwhelming.
The one thing that I think we both would caution, those of you watching and listening, is be very wary of the organizations that are reaching out and asking you to volunteer your time and your money, because some of them, I can't put it any other way, they're a front for an organization. Let me give you case in point. I set up a company and I say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to call these nonprofits, and I'm going to say to these nonprofits, this isn't going to cost you any money or any time. I'm going to reach out and try and raise funds for your organization, and I'm going to give you half of whatever I raise.
That's
Okay?
dangerous. Yeah.
The nonprofit organization says, well, listen, if I don't have to participate, I don't have to do anything with man hours, and I don't have to do anything with money, and this could be free money for me. Yep, go ahead, have at it. But that solicitor calls me and says, here, I'm calling on behalf of this organization, and we'd like for you to donate. Can we send you a pledge card for $100? You don't know that $50 of that's going in their pocket and $50 is going to go to your organization. Because if you reach out directly to that organization and give them the $100, they use the $100. So you have to be very, very careful and listen when somebody says, I'm calling on behalf of.
That's correct.
Those are the key words. And the shortcut is eliminate the middleman. If you want to support that organization, reach out directly to that organization. Social media has made it easy because most nonprofit organizations have a donate button. They just click on the donate button, and they may ask you, would you increase your donation by 2% to cover the costs of the processing? Like if it's going through PayPal or Venmo or one of those other services, and that's your decision, and it makes it a lot easier to do it virtually.
You know what happened with one of my organizations that I volunteered for? I'm not going to say where it was, but I got very involved with it, and we moved out of state. And I found out after we moved out of state, the person that they had hired in their office absconded with some monies.
Well, that
happens too. So always, for those of you that get very involved in the day-to-day dealings and the administrative aspects of the organization, you must know who are you hiring to oversee that money, and be there constantly. Be watching over their shoulders.
Don't ever be afraid to say to the organization that's calling you, excuse me, can you tell me what percentage of my donation goes to the programs that you administer, and what goes to overhead costs? By law, they're supposed to answer you. They don't volunteer that information, but if you ask for it, sometimes they will say, well, 20% of your donation goes to overhead.
I would imagine they would say that under their breath.
Well, they try to
really
skirt it as much as they can. But again, if you want to volunteer, get to know the organization that you're volunteering to, because if a lot of the money that you're going to be trying to raise goes to help pay salaries and pay for fancy offices in multiple cities, you might want to consider checking out another local organization. A cancer awareness foundation that we work with here in the DFW area. They have one paid employee. So the donations that come in, almost every dollar that comes in goes to administer the programs. I'm more inclined to help out that organization than I am the organizations that have multiple locations, lots of people on the payroll. You know that the money that's coming in has to help pay for that overhead and payroll. And
Yes, but I don't think that we should necessarily fault those people that just like to write a check or
well,
put it on their credit card.
yeah.
And they just feel any amount of money they can give to that particular organization, whether they have 1 or 10 people working in the office, that means something to them. So everybody is different. You just have to know what you're giving to and
Yeah, I think the bottom
what
line
it means to
to what
you.
we're saying is check out before you start volunteering. Check the organization, ask questions. Maybe it's your friends that volunteer and they're thoroughly thrilled. And you say, you know what, you're my friend. I'll be more than happy to help you. We'll go together.
Mhm.
You know, so checking the organization is a very important part of it. And number 2, determine how much time that you can give to that organization, because nothing's really worse than saying, oh, I'd love to help you out. And then every time they call, you say,
You're not available.
yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I got to take the kids to music lessons, or
Yeah.
set
That-
aside a certain time and say, look, I would love to volunteer and I'm available on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah, there are so few volunteers that when these organizations find somebody that they can rely on, that's very, very important. Because if that goes away, they're back at square one.
You can Google almost every organization or go through your religious organizations,
Mhm.
because a lot of them are connected to a lot of nonprofits that help in so many ways. And if you can give of your money, fine. If you can give of your time, that's good
fabulous
too. If you can give of both, that's the win-win, isn't it?
I think
Yep.
we about said it.
And we really enjoy our volunteer work, and I hope that you will, if you're not already doing it, please consider it. And also please consider being with us again next Thursday, 1:00 in the afternoon, for another edition of Opposite Saxes.
Happy volunteering.
Bye.
Bye.